Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, LinkedIn, the social media platform with which professionals connect and network, has landed itself in hot water after a surprising experiment revealed signs of bias against women. Also, competition is woven into nearly every part of our lives, but do we actually need it? At work or even in our daily routines. I'll be talking shortly to author Ruchika Malhotra, who's written a book entitled Uncompete, Rejecting Competition to Unblock Success. And the countdown is on for French female astronaut Sophie Adenot, who's taking off for the International Space Station in the coming months. But first, and Italian MPs have voted unanimously to introduce the crime of femicide, the murder of a woman motivated by gender, as a distinct law to be punished with a life sentence. The draft bill follows national outrage after the brutal killing of a 22-year-old woman by her former boyfriend in 2023. Introduced by Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the bill drew rare cross-party support, both MPs from the hard-right government and the opposition backing the measure, with many wearing red ribbons or red jackets in tribute to victims of femicide. Now, it's seen as one of the few remaining reliable social media platforms, but LinkedIn, where professionals connect and network, has now come under fire after a surprising new experiment exposed potential bias. Some women say that by changing their profile to appear as a man or using stereotypically male-coded business language meant that they were getting dramatically more visibility, a claim LinkedIn has denied. Charlotte Lamb has more.
On the world's largest online professional network, a growing trend. Women taking part in an informal experiment, changing their profile gender, pronouns, even rewriting their biographies to sound, as they put it, more like a man. According to some, engagement has skyrocketed. Alex Willemez is an author and climate activist. Like many, LinkedIn is essential to her career.
I basically changed my profile, my gender, and posted on it like one day after. And my views increased by 724%. I was a bit shocked.
The experiment was co-started by entrepreneur Cindy Gallop.
We weren't testing gender specifically on LinkedIn, but we were testing visibility. And alongside two male colleagues, we posted identical content on LinkedIn. I reached 0.6% of my followers with this post. Our male colleagues, Stephen and Matt, reached 51% and a staggering 143% respectively.
It did not sound like me.
Social worker Megan Cornish, who works with tech companies, was the first to take part. She asked AI to rewrite her whole profile to sound more, quote, male-coded, and then blogged about it.
I recycled some old posts that hadn't been doing very well in that style, and every day I saw an increase in reach, and I was going to do it for a full month, but by the end of the week, I was like, I'm too mad. I have to share this.
And the stories keep coming. One man even saw engagement drop when he switched his name from Daniel to Daniela. LinkedIn told France 24 its algorithms do not use gender as a ranking signal, saying changing gender on your profile does not affect how content appears in search or feed. But some experts say it's not necessarily explicit discrimination. It could be something more subtle.
I recognise that there was potentially some plausible proxy bias going on when it comes to the feed algorithm. And what I mean by proxy bias is that the algorithm isn't saying, do you know what, if you're female, then reduce your reach. It's saying that the reach is based on things like topics, language, career.
The experiment's founders have launched a campaign urging the social media platform to increase transparency. Their hope? To move closer to a world where women won't have to rewrite themselves in any space to be heard.
And talking of the workplace, one element which is interwoven into the very fabric of our working lives is the notion of competition. But do we really need to compete at work or indeed in all parts of our daily lives? What if, in truth, competition does more harm than good and actually stops us from reaching our true potential? Ruchika Malhotra is the founder of Candor, a global inclusion strategy firm, but she's also the author of Uncompete, Rejecting Competition to Unblock Success, and she joins me now from Seattle. Ruchika, thank you so much for joining us. You grew up in Singapore, you've worked as a business journalist and also in the corporate world in general. The idea of advising people to not compete is such a counterintuitive move. So what made you decide to write a book about it?
Great question, Annette. And actually, it was all my experiences in the business world and specifically in advising corporations and leaders on how to create a more gender balanced, a more inclusive workplace, one where, folks really wanted to work and felt like they belonged. And what I often came back to was this belief that if, for example, women were rising in the workplace, then somehow men were losing out. And it felt very zero-sum, hierarchical all the time, like there was this invisible competition. And yet this idea of it's a competition, if women get ahead, men are losing out, this idea and this narrative kept coming up again and again, and I really wanted to address it, which I try and do in this new book.
The chapter titles say everything, Ruchika. Competition is the thief of joy, redefine success on our own terms, and so on. But are we sort of not hardwired to compete? Is it not part of human nature to begin with?
That's a great myth, which I really enjoyed tackling in this book. We're actually not hardwired to compete. In fact, data shows that one of the reasons we as humans have prospered for so long is we're actually very, very good at collaborating with each other. We always have been, from our hunter-gatherer days all the way till where we are right now. Unfortunately, modern society and especially modern workplaces have created a culture of, competing with each other, stack ranking. There can only be one woman in the C-suite. There can only be, one promotion. So you got to fight it out with your colleagues. And suddenly a friend, someone who you collaborated with earlier on your team, becomes a rival. And so actually that's a myth. I would say that what makes us great as humans is that we're very good at collaboration. So why not get better if we change the workplace norms?
What you're talking about is the need to collaborate versus compete. How do we actually do that?
Collaboration is so important in the workplace. Opting out of competition is a choice. And opting for collaboration is also a choice. So some of the ways that I recommend it, for example, are creating a promotion system that isn't zero-sum, that isn't about one person getting promoted at the cost of everyone else. There's evidence that even in our political system, especially here in the United States, there would be a lot less political division if we did not pit two sides against each other and it was zero-sum, winner take all. There can only be one president. The loser sort of slinks home with their tail between their legs. I would love to, in the workplace especially, see more leaders talk about collaboration in promotion, talent development conversations. Tell me of a time that you collaborated with your team member, or projects should be rewarded based on what the team did rather than there was this one standout individual, which I will say is a very masculine style of being in the workplace, where only one individual gets rewarded or only one individual wins the prize. And I think we really need a reframe right now.
Ruchika Malhotra, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annette.
And the countdown is on for French female astronaut Sophie Adenot, who will depart for the International Space Station in less than 3 months. The 43-year-old already has a very impressive CV, and now she will be taking it to even greater heights, as Eliza Herbert reports.
Astronaut Sophie Adenot is preparing to take a giant leap. In 2026, she will fulfil her lifelong dream of space travel and become the second French woman to reach orbit.
It's the realization of the dream I had as a little girl, who was inspired by all these space adventures since the first French astronauts.
2, 1, ignition.
Adenot and 3 colleagues will blast off aboard the SpaceX Falcon 9 in mid-February. The 43-year-old will then spend 6 months at the International Space Station, floating 400 kilometres above Earth, a feat that requires rigorous training. In 2022, the aeronautical engineer was chosen from more than 22,000 applicants to take part in the European Space Agency's new class of career astronauts. Since then, she has pushed her body to its limits through physical tests like survival training, high-speed spins, pool tests, and parabolic flights to simulate weightlessness. She was the first French woman to become a helicopter test pilot, then the second French female astronaut after Claudie and Yuri. From Toulouse on Monday, she addressed France's National Centre for Space Studies to express what it means to represent her country.
And it's important because we're taking a piece of France into space. And it's a great source of pride to represent all the work done by the National Centre for Space Studies, who've been working on this space adventure since 1982.
Worldwide, less than 90 women have travelled into space, compared to more than 560 men. Adenot's advice to young girls who are interested in science and aeronautics is to always aim for the sky.
And that's it for this edition, so until our next show, bye for now.